Well, you're a Dell guy. What are you talking about?
Michael just covered himself with glory. He's in Davos, and he announced that how, as the average billionaire, he doesn't think that a 70% tax rate would be a very good thing.
Oh.
Imagine that, you know.
Yeah, interesting.
He'd much rather give the money away himself. You think, okay, Michael. Yeah. And they said, no other country has ever done this, and there was an economist from MIT, and he says, well, actually, the United States did it. It was the way we used to tax people in the Eisenhower administration.
That's
worked
correct.
Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But
where is Davos? Is that in Switzerland?
yeah, it's down in the southern part. I think it's a ski resort kind of place. This is the first time I've heard his name in a long time. Michaels.
Yeah, is he still with the
Oh,
board?
no. They took, after I worked, it was a publicly held company, and they had some problems, including the CFO had to quit because they had SEC violations after me.
Okay.
But then they took it private, and they're still selling the product.
Oh, yeah, it's a standard. It's a gold standard in my own business, which is factory automation. Everything's done.
I know. Hey, I worked at factories, and we did everything.
Their support, you know, their quality, everything was standard.
Yeah, we were doing.
After compact was standard, but I don't think compacts are out anymore.
No, they just, what do they call them now?
My first computer was a compact Desk Pro 286E. And that means because it had a 40 meg hard drive on it. That was a big hard drive back then.
My first
And I stacked it.
was an Osborne. Remember the Osborne?
No.
The Osbornes were like this. They were kind of like,
Like a
TRS. They looked like a sewing machine. It had a little tiny screen. It didn't have a hard drive. You kept switching those floppies. I'm telling you how old I am.
The big ones? The big 5.5 inch?
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
The first hard drive I got was 20.
Wow.
Just like it was the most wonderful thing
Yes.
in the world.
Yep.
Glorious moments of early computing.
And I predict 10 years from now, it'll just be cloud-based everything. Some kind of device in the cloud.
Yeah.
There'll be no intermediate. There's too much processing power available. This thing just screams. This is the new 10S. And that's all you need.
One of the reasons Dell made so much money is because everybody was always refreshing their computers.
Yes.
The Apple that I own, I've owned for 5 years almost.
It was a vicious group, Intel and Microsoft all together with Dell. They just kind of, faster chip, better software to run on the faster chip.
Early adopters.
Yeah. So.
We just had that in the afternoon.
Well, we can vote on it. I recommend we, based on the changes.
Okay. And then,
We approved about the contingency.
okay,
Well, we take out, we will approve it if it's warranted.
all right.
And now he said we all the municipalities. My recognition, see, let's go ahead and do it if the other two don't want to, then.
Okay.
How are you? Good.
Thank you.
Wait till Friday.
Okay.
Ooh.
I I got the video.
Oh, good.
So, yep, I did it. Couldn't figure out how to get the light on, and get it out, and go down. I'm like, there's no light in there.
No, I should show you, it's
Hidden, I know.
on the right, on the door next to the ladder, and it's like.
I know. It's rather weird.
John, is there public Wi-Fi in here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
There should be Saugatuck Township meeting,
Yep.
and then I think our fax number is the 8574542 would be the password.
Okay.
I turn it on and hit,
Record.
doesn't it counterintuitive, like ring means go and then run means stop, so, I know, okay.
I see two,
And that computer,
they both require a password. Yeah.
I think you can do it on almost all, and he's like, turn it off, so it's not a lot.
The area.
That's where.
But it makes for
With,
45, 42.
Yeah.
with the 266 with the area code.
Yeah.
I understand that too. If I were a government person, I'd consider it, yeah.
I mean, the guy has no blood, anyhow, so, yeah, but, no, they got that. It's just a big deal.
Yeah.
This is a big deal, yeah, so.
You're almost there.
Yeah. The more you learn, the scarier it gets. But we got it. Right.
I'm trying. It's just the person who's wearing it that isn't bright enough. Sure, it's fine.
Oh.
Good evening and welcome to the Saugatuck Township Board Special Meeting for Wednesday, January 23rd, 2019 at currently 6 o'clock. I will call this meeting to order and note that all are present with the exception of Clerk Bill Webster, who is absent, and if you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll begin this meeting and also at the end have public comments, so we'll start with the first row. Anybody would like to comment? Second row?
Hello, Nadine Thompson at 3485 on 65th Street here in Saugatuck Township. Two quick things that I'd like to mention tonight. First, you guys have figured out a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. I'm giving you atta girls and atta boys for that right now. I'm really impressed with how far you've come in a short month. I also want to thank you for posting about this meeting more than a week ago. It helps us, and it really also helps you be more open on so many levels. I know you understand what I'm talking about. Second, I'm a little disappointed I see the agenda here tonight. And I thought you'd be looking at a number of applicants, but I see only, no offense, Andy, but I only see your name on it. And I hope that you look at a number of applications. I know you have at least my application and quite a few others that are available for this position. They're all equal. I also trust that you choose what you replace by what you're an educated and experienced person, and that you aren't simply going to go for someone because you like them or because you're told so. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else in that row? Next row?
Roy McElwain, 3466 Riverside Drive, Saugatuck Township. I'm going to read this so I don't miss any salient points, and I will give you copies. I've come tonight to address new business items A through D. As you all know, there is an existing township policy of appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. Based on tonight's agenda, you are preparing to ignore the policy. There is a large file of residents who have expressed interest in participating in our government. How are they to feel when this board makes no effort to contact them and find out if they have interest in the clerk's position? Bill Wester's letter of resignation could have been dated out to the first regular meeting in March and a policy followed. What is the rush? Bill is on a leave of absence already. The new members of this board ran on a platform of transparency, yet when a very important position and a salaried one to boot opens up, it's just, let's move Abby over and ignore those who took the time to submit applications. Think about it. What does that say to our residents? Is Abby qualified? Probably. The right question is, have others been interviewed to find the most qualified? On another issue from the past meetings, why was there a shoddy bidding process for a security camera system? I may be wrong, but I don't think written specs for a system were ever developed. Thus, the bids were not based on any set spec. Based on this potentially illegal process, the winner just happened to be the husband of Kathy Sturm, who just happened to be the leader of the recall effort. Does this pass a smell test? To close, I would recommend the new board members brush up on the Open Meetings Act. Any email communications where a board member is copying all members is a violation of the Open Meetings Act. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the next row or that same row? Next row? Does anybody else want to comment? There being no more comment, we'll move into new business. The first item on the agenda is Clerk Bill Wester's resignation. We received on January 8th a letter that states that effective February 1st of this year, Bill Wester is resigning from the clerk's position. So by law, the Township Board has 45 days from the 1st to appoint a replacement to the clerk position, or the governor, and this has never happened to my knowledge, would call for an election to be held to replace them. I would think they would probably be in the May timeframe when we're already having an election. In this instance, though, we would be without a clerk until one was appointed, since Lori Babinski would lose her deputy clerk statutory authority. And she could stay on as an employee, which she is currently, of the township, but she could not, for instance, write checks, because she would lose that statutory authority until another clerk were appointed that could make her a deputy to do that work for that person. So or an election was held when a new clerk was elected. So that brings us to this point, and I'll open it up to the board to discuss, make motions, or do what they'd like.
Just to clarify, Chris, you were just talking about A in new business?
That's correct.
Okay.
Bill Wester's resignation.
Hello?
Push it back.
The back?
There you go.
Hello? Oh, good. I thought it might be helpful just to read some excerpts from Michigan Consolidated Law as well as Michigan Township Association language relative to filling township board vacancies, just in the spirit of openness and to share with the audience and some members that have had questions about that aspect.
Do we want to do that for A
Or
or for B?
discussion?
Yeah, I think we're still considering the question of what we do with
I'll
Bill.
just say, I'm prepared to share that, because I
So
think
what
it's
I
helpful.
would entertain that somebody offer a motion to accept his resignation, because we have to do that first.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we accept the written resignation submitted by Clerk Bill Wester effective February 1st.
I second that.
Any discussion? There being none, let's go with a roll call vote on that, since it is a resignation. Abby, if you'll call the roll.
Aldrich?
Yes.
Rorick?
Yes.
Bickford, yes. Hamrich?
Yes.
Motion carried. Now we'll move on to new business item B, a discussion and decision regarding the appointment of Abby Bickford to the clerk position. Let me just advise everyone that, of course, I've talked to Ron Volche extensively on this process, and the way we have it laid out here is legal. But the motion should state the effective date of the appointment is February 1st of 2019, so that she can be sworn in by me as the supervisor, if that's what you choose to do, in absence of a clerk. And so we'll have to administer that oath of office at that time.
Will that
Do we have, we don't necessarily have to wait till February 1st, do we?
We do, because Bill is still in office until February 1st. He has not vacated.
No, but the law states the board has the authority to appoint within 30 days in advance of the resignation date, just to keep things running smoothly.
Okay, well, if you want to use your MTA legal team for this, this is what Ron Volche has told us we have to do, so I don't know who you want to believe. Yeah,
We can do it anytime.
The appointment cannot be, just let me clarify with you, Chris, the appointment cannot be made until February 1st, or the appointment can't be made, the appointment can be made, you just can't be sworn in until February 1st.
that is correct.
Okay. So
We can, that is correct. She cannot be sworn in until February 1st.
But the appointment can be made.
Well,
That's sure that that's
if a township official submits a written resignation from an elected township office that specifies a date and time when the resignation is effective, the township board, within 30 days before that effective date and time, may appoint a person to fill the vacancy at the effective date and time of the resignation.
Right.
Okay.
What's your question? What is your question?
No, I just,
Okay.
we can move forward.
Good.
Would that be a special meeting, or can you do it without a meeting?
No, it doesn't need a meeting.
Okay.
I'll just show up on that date and swear her in. At that point, she then becomes the person who would swear everybody in from that point on. So just so we're clear, you tried to appoint Abby to that position while Bill was in there. That's not legal. That
Right.
can't be done, just so you're aware. And I think Abby also now knows that in order for her to vote for herself to get a raise in salary like that is a conflict of interest, so you should abstain from voting for yourself to get that.
No.
She can vote on her replacement.
I contacted MTA today.
Yeah, and I've got it in writing. The
Yeah.
clerk, Bill could not vote, but Abby can.
So this is from Ron Volche, if we want to follow our attorney. Basically, he
I
said,
stand with the MTA.
Okay. You have now advised Abby to voted against herself, which she did, which was the wise thing to do. That makes it much easier. And basically, Abby did not vote for herself when you did the illegal motion to vote her. She basically voted no.
Right, at that time.
Right. So that makes it easier for what she had to
could
vote.
vote for herself tonight, is all I'm saying.
So, in my opinion, the appointment of Abby the clerk should be considered with the quorum of the board. That is remaining after Bill specifies a date that he will resign, and with Abby abstaining. That is our attorney's advice. So, you guys can do what you want.
I mean,
Right.
okay. Right, that's okay. I feel strongly that Abby was elected by the people, and it's unfortunate Bill had to resign, and she's been at the office every day, has a feel for the clerk's position. She wants to retain Lori, which Bill, that was his wishes also. They work well together. And, I feel that the trustee position that she'll be vacating should be open to, anyone that would like to be considered for that. So I feel comfortable that Abby's, deserves this since she was elected by the people, and I'm supportive of that, so.
To that point, I agree wholeheartedly. There were 4 people elected into office on November 6th with substantial landslide-type margins. The people have spoken, and we need to honor that. And the best way to honor that replacement is someone who was already elected by the voters.
And I feel that, it's an important position. I feel we need to move on this, and get another trustee as soon as possible also. I mean, it's just.
That's a further discussion.
Right, so that's how I feel.
Okay.
So just so we're clear, the advice from the attorney is that Abby voting for herself to be clerk would essentially be her voting herself to receive a promotion or a pay raise. And basically, while the law that you might be citing from the state may be true, common law would cause that a conflict of interest because she would get monetary reward for voting herself as clerk. So she should abstain unless you want this to be challenged. That would be my recommendation.
No, I think that's fine.
All right.
I'd like to make, if there's more discussion, if not, I'd like to make a motion that Abby Bigford be appointed as clerk, starting February 1st.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
Discussion. As far as I'm concerned, Abby is very well qualified for the position. I think it'll help Lori because she needs some help. And I think it'll be good for the office. What I object to is what I had stated in the last meeting when this happened, when we tried to do it illegally, that basically we do have an appointment policy. The last time we had it, it was for the supervisor position, and I had to go through an interview process, as did 4 or 5 other people. And the board ultimately selected a candidate from that. So I believe there should be a public process, so I'll be voting no. But that's all my discussion. Any other discussion?
Well, I think I'll use this time now just to read some of the Michigan Consolidated Law and Michigan Township Association's language on the situation. The first one is, the board may appoint someone to fill the vacancy up to 30 days prior to the effective date of resignation. The new official may take the oath prior to taking office, but is not clothed with the authority of the office until the resignation takes effect. So she could take the oath before February 1st. We've discussed the deputy issue, which is very important because without an official deputy, we cannot sign checks because both the clerk and treasurer must sign every payment we make. Let's see. The township board can appoint anyone who is eligible to hold elective office. The board is not required to advertise the vacancy or solicit resumes, but doing so may attract a larger pool. All interviews conducted by the township board and any actions taken by the board to shorten the list of candidates, and this would apply to the trustee position as well, must be done in open session at a public board meeting. Further, I think we all understand this. May another township board member be appointed to fill a vacancy in another board office? Yes. May a township board member vote to appoint him or herself to another board office vacancy? Yes. The resigning official, Mr. Wester, shall not vote on the appointment. The resigning, township official may vote to appoint him or herself to fill the vacancy. I've already said that. If a board member is appointed to fill a vacancy in another board office, can they vote to appoint the person to exceed themselves? which is not happening right now, yes, they can. The resigning official shall not vote on the appointment. I think those are the important and pertinent issues, language of Michigan Consolidated Law and legal opinion of the Michigan Townships Association.
Any further discussion?
Thank you.
I'll call for a roll call vote. Abby?
Pardon, you want me to?
Yeah.
Okay. Aldrich?
Yes.
Norway?
No.
Bickford, yes. Hamrick?
Yes.
Motion carried. Let's move on to item C, discussion decision regarding the resignation of Abby Bickford from the trustee position if necessary. So that would also be effective February 1st, or we'd be without a trustee between now and then, should we have any reason to call a special meeting or need to do something. Since Bill isn't vacating his position until February 1st, Abby won't have that position, so she should remain as trustee until that time.
I would just like to underscore and agree with what Trustee Aldrich stated already, that we be open to hearing from people that might want to fill the trustee position, which we already have. I know and have talked to 5 potential people. I'm sure there are others. I would ask them to make themselves known to members of the board. As I already stated, if we have a session where we want to interview multiple candidates, it has to be done in an open session. Personally, I would love to see that happen as early as our February board meeting, which is February 6th.
Yes.
So you want to ignore the policy that we have in place for boards and commissions and committees. You don't recognize that as a policy as a township board.
There are questions about when and why that policy was written. I don't know if it supersedes or undersedes, if that's a word, Michigan law and MTA opinion.
Chris, did you make?
So what part of that does?
I read this the last time.
I mean, just the
Yeah.
portion of, I mean, I don't know if the audience wants to hear.
I read this the last time we made that illegal vote.
Okay.
Basically, the policy appointments basically calls for, and this has been used by the township in the past, so there's precedent. But once there's an opening, the clerk will notify the manager and supervisor of the board, announce the vacancy at the next scheduled board meeting. Upon official request, the township board and appointment committee shall be formed and seek to provide the board a recommendation on appointments of applicants that are duly filed with the township office, which we have many, and qualified to perform the duties of public office following the vacancy or term expiration from a township board, commission, and/or committee in Saugatuck Township. The appointment committee shall consist of the manager, 1 representative of the board or commission in which the vacancy exists, typically the chair or the vice chair, and the supervisor or his or her designate. The appointment committee shall review all qualified applicants of appointment that are duly filed with the township office and shall seek to provide the township board with either a written or verbal recommendation for consideration at their next regularly scheduled board meeting. They'll all be submitted to the township office in a timely manner, no later than a week prior to the next regularly scheduled board meeting. A publication of notice of appointment may be at the discretion of manager and/or at the request of the township board following the meeting of announcement of vacancy or term expiration. It shall be provided in newspaper general circulation in the township. Application of employment that is duly filed with the office shall be the necessary information needed to apply for an appointment and made readily available to the public at the township office during regular hours. And on the request of the qualified applicant, the clerk shall be responsible for keeping his or her respective application for employment on file for future consideration of appointment pursuant to any and/or vacancy or term expiration of a board, commission, or committee in Saugatuck Township.
Thank you.
So, where are we at? We need to make a decision if there's a motion.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we follow state law and invite members of the public that may want to serve as trustee to replace Abby Bickford to come forward. And our aim would be at the February 6th board meeting to let anyone who's actually expressed definite interest to be here, to be interviewed by the full board and the public with the hoped for goal of appointing someone on that date.
Would you mind if we wait till D to do that, since that's where we should talk about it?
I'm sorry, wait till.
Can we wait till item D with the long, that discussion? We have to get Abby resigned first.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, yeah, all right. So, does somebody wanna put a motion forward to, I guess you have to resign first.
Do I move to resign, or do I?
I think you can, I think you should, I think you should, yeah.
I move that the board accept my resignation from township trustee effective February 1st.
I second that.
Any discussion? Let's go with a roll call vote on that.
Aldrich?
Yes.
Romery?
Yes.
Bigford, yes. Humrick?
Yes.
Motion carried. Now let's move on to John's discussion regarding, appointment. So you want to open this up for Michigan law or something like that. And I think that's a wise decision. I think we should open it up. We should advertise. Anybody who has, we should go through the applications on file where people have stated they'd be interested in that position.
I'd like to see those applications. There's been reference twice to this huge file, and I'm
The
not
clerk,
aware of
the
that.
clerk has it.
I only know of one person that just publicly said they were interested.
Do you know who the clerk is?
Huh?
Lori?
Oh,
Lori.
Bill's clerk.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask her for that file.
She'll help
But
out.
I keep hearing of this huge file, and
So, I don't know that we have to make any decision regarding that if we're in agreement. I don't think we need a motion. Good enough? Let's move on to item E. Basically, in December, I posted a job advertisement on the Michigan Municipal League website for a manager combined with a zoning administrator position. And interestingly enough, attracted a very high degree of interest and a lot of submitted applications, and Abby was very helpful in assisting me in going through those. One of those applicants contacted me, and during our initial conversation indicated that this was the perfect position that she was looking for. It's exactly what she wanted to do. So, I was impressed in talking with her, had others talk with her, and our board interviewed Natalie Dean on January 8th, and after scoring her interview and checking her references, I submitted an offer of employment and received it accepted, which we have in front of us tonight, on January 16th. So tonight, we can accept this agreement with the following motion. I move to accept the signed agreement for the employment of Natalie Dean and authorize the supervisor to sign it on behalf of the Saugatuck Township Board with the intent that the new manager and zoning administrator is to begin duties on February 4th.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? We'll go with a roll call on this since it's higher.
Aldrich?
Yes.
Romery?
Yes.
Bigford, yes. Humrick?
Yes.
Motion carried. Next on the agenda is the master meter update. Basically, you all have a copy of that. I was able, and Stacy participated in kind of a little bit of discussion at the Cal Lake meeting, and the bottom line is this has been something being considered by the municipalities for some time. What this basically calls for is to meter the sewer use in order to determine what capacity each municipality has at the treatment facility. And it provides more empirical proof versus what is now kind of just calculated. I reviewed this project with our attorney, with the township engineer, Cal Lake director, and had some discussion with Cal Lake board members. And I'm in a point now where I can recommend that the township accept this resolution. I reviewed the costs, the contingencies, the resolution language, which has been changed by Nick to give us some cover, and find it acceptable at this time based on the following. This is not a discretionary project. By contract and agreements between the municipalities, it has to be done. And if Saugatuck Douglas and the city of, and Saugatuck Township do this project, Lake Town must do it also. So it's going to have to be done at some point, and it's already become more expensive. The longer we wait, it'll become even more expensive. So the costs are only going to go up. We have the funds in our sewer project a little bit shy that can be supplemented from the general fund, but as we get charges in for our sewer customers, that'll be replenished. So the money is there. We're facing some capacity issues that I've sent you an email about that are gonna need to be addressed. And the only way to address it, I believe, is with empirical data, not guesstimates or estimates going forward, so we can actually prove who's using what. There is a contingency cost that was applied by Cal Lake to manage this should there be any overages. Initially, I'd objected to that, but then the more I thought about it, if we manage this instead of them, we'd want to have some contingency in that project to cover any overages as well. So as tightly as they can write the contract as it would be advised, but in the event that they were exposed to some unknown cost, they want to cover that with this contingency that's placed in there. I've asked for it to be put in there as something that we approve, that is not automatically approved. And then finally, it would be my recommendation to approve this resolution, but with the understanding that we are expecting the other municipalities involved to move forward as well. Should any not, I would say it would make, we'll kick the can down the road for a few more years while it gets more expensive, but eventually we're going to have to do this. So, given the fact that we budgeted for it, we have the funds, it makes sense for us and our customers. I would recommend that we adopt this resolution tonight. So I would make a motion that we adopt the resolution to approve participation in and cost sharing for the master meter project.
I'll second the motion.
Discussion.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's all right, yeah.
I was just gonna say, I agree that it's just gonna go up and up and up in price, and we have the funds allocated, so let's go ahead with it, I think, so.
You know, I just wanted to thank Supervisor Rohrig for stepping up to the plate, agreeing to serve on the board in the interim period, so that something as important as this did not have full input from Saugatuck Township. So, and I thank you for the work you've done on this, and in particular, the new language relative to the contingency excess and the fact that the board has sole discretion to approve that or not. So, thank you.
Okay, so any further discussion? We'll go, since the resolution, we have to go by roll call for yeas and nays, and then we'll have to have probably the first have you sign it.
Okay.
We'll have to change that.
Yes.
Bickford, yes. Rohrig?
Yes.
Aldrich?
Yes.
Motion carried. Public comments, any public comments?
Jim Hanson, 763rd Street. Actually, I'm pretty shocked. I guess I'll just say it that way. The supervisor is in charge of doing the legal advice, he's the legal officer of the township. He comes to you with legal advice in the case of the not voting for yourself, trustee. I'm shocked he didn't do it. As someone who has been in your role as trustee, I'll tell you, you can get in real trouble even when you pay attention to your legal advice. So that to me is shocking. The next point I'd like to make, I'm kind of following on what Maggie was talking about. If you've got a policy for appointments, you need to follow the policy. And if it's not a good policy, then you need to change it. You don't have the option of saying, well, in this case, we're going to follow the policy, or now the lip service, oh, well, for trustee, we're going to be open for this, but for clerk, we weren't. So those are my concerns. And this isn't coming from a partisan. This is coming from somebody who voted for all of you guys. I expect better. I hope better in the future. I spent a long time taking legal advice as chair of the planning commission, as a member of this board. And what I'm saying to you is, it's not an option. It's also not an option, Treasurer Helmrich, to have like dueling legal advice. This is the man who comes to you with the legal advice. You ask him what legal advice you want. That's my point. This is not said in anger. I know you're all trying to do a good job. But both those things are things that we're really going to have to work better on. Or you're going to be in a world of hurt, and so is the township.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next row. Does Does anybody have any public comments in the room?
Are you gonna go back?
No, go ahead.
Brenda Marcy, what's my address? 3221 Lorimer, Saugatuck Township. First of all, Natalie Dean, what an awesome candidate. I just wanted to say I was here for the interviews. Every single one of you had extremely good questions. She is going to be a godsend. So I just wanted to say, I just think she's going to help tremendously. And then, in light of the comments right before me, I just wanted to say that I think we need, I guess I should say the board, we need to figure out, I said this last time, what supersedes what? The legal advice, it seems like the lawyer is in opposition of the MTA. Now, the MTA was, I thought, a very good choice because I thought it was going to save taxpayers' money. So, these are my questions. Or maybe I should say, perhaps, maybe the board should look into other lawyers who maybe are more well-versed in the Michigan laws, or find out what supersedes what, because he's right, you can't be paying a lawyer and the MTA, which I think is a phenomenal organization. And then I was going to say that I just lost my thought. Oh, policy. Everywhere I've worked, every board I've served on, anything I've done, policies are designed as a guidebook. In this case, I would strongly urge you to revisit all of the policies, but I know you have so many things going on. But particularly the committee one, because it seems to put all the power in one hand. I've read it several times. As opposed to, I would rather see the whole trustees, the whole board, have equal choice in who's chosen for that position. And maybe I've misread it, but I think in most organizations, I still think law, I'm not a lawyer, supersedes policies and guidelines. But that's just another thing to look into so that you don't have this dichotomy or confusion amongst taxpayers. I think that's it. Again, looking forward to Natalie Dean. And thank you, Abby, for stepping up.
Any other public comments?
Roy McElwain again. I just can't I know Jim said it very well, but I am partisan, as you all know. But I can't believe that I sat here tonight and watched you just slip easily between policy or state law and going to appoint Abby without any advertisement for the job, without any posting. It's amazing. And I just wanted to get that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
My name's Kirby, Ridgeway Booster Highway, Douglas. Just wanted to also say that I was here for the interview with Natalie, and she was awesome and inspiring, so I can't wait to see what she's going to do for the trip. And I forgot to ask her what kind of vote she had. She talked about that earlier.
Any other public comment? There being none, this meeting is adjourned.
Abby, I stopped your recording.
I was actually gonna.
Yeah, I slept more on Natalie. I mean, I